and welcome to another session of Deep into Design. Now that I've worked here at Design 42 for almost 4 years following my graduation, come to think of it, that in the final year of my bachelor's degree, innumerable questions kept popping in my head. Like, should I do my master's next, or should I go for a field job? If I do my higher studies, will it be in India or abroad? I'm sure these similar questions continue to arise in the mind of the students who aspire for a fulfilling future ahead. So we thought, why not discuss these questions with someone who is already dealing with them? Anushka, a final year undergraduate student of Omdal Group of Institution, is here with us today to put forward few of her questions and doubts, and our sir Ar.Protyush Lala, from his own experience of post-graduation from Specializations University of Glasgow, will try answering them. So, without further ado, I will hand it over to Anushka and Sir to continue the discussion. Over to you.
Thanks, Ravi. Good morning, sir.
A very good morning.
Sir, as you're aware, undergraduate architecture students like us, especially in our final years, we question and we try to prepare for a future career in this industry. And there are many questions that keep coming in our minds when we prepare for what's next. So, addressing this topic today, my first question to you is, does a postgraduate study add any value to a field like architecture?
Well, yes. See, not all of us are Dadavandu. The genius doesn't even have a proper, formal architectural education. But since architecture is such a huge field, with such a huge, big umbrella, and gaining a specialized knowledge over the basic understanding of architecture will always help. But saying that, I must also emphasize that the timing is very important, and the course that you are going to choose, that is also very important. So yes, of course, but to add value to your profession with the higher studies, you should actually get down into the field and understand what is it that you need to study further with. So only then will that value addition happen. Otherwise, it will just be another paper, a degree.
So, sir, as you're saying that timing is very important. So, what is the best time for us to pursue a postgraduate degree? And in which kind of institution do we do so? SPAs, IITs, or premier institutions abroad?
Okay. Well, the thing is, there is basically no right time for doing your higher studies. You can always do it whenever you feel you have the urge. But my suggestion would always be that don't jump into it because you would like to finish off all your education at one go and then get into jobs. Instead, you have gathered some knowledge or some education that will help you function in your field. Function, start working, and then a lot of other questions will start arising, and you will see that there are a lot of other avenues that you would want to know more about.
Yes.
That your graduation degree cannot teach you. Only then you will be able to find the right true calling, and that when that happens, focus will automatically come. So to answer your question, there is no really right time to get into your masters, but of course, if it is possible, work for a year or so, then start pursuing. And about the institutes you would like to pursue, I would ask you, or rather I would ask all the students to urge a different approach. Rather than looking for the university, you look for the course. Look for the course that suits you. Then list out the universities that offer such a course, that can cater to what you are looking for. Then from that short list,
Yes.
you can actually apply and narrow it down to the right institution or the right organization.
Okay. So, sir, when did you finish your postgraduate studies?
Well, 2 decades ago, it's 2002, I finished my graduation, and 2005, I finished my post graduation. I had worked a year and a half in the middle,
Yes.
then went abroad to do the post graduation.
Okay.
So there might be a process for applying to the university where you went. So could you just tell us about that process?
Well, the process now and the process then is completely different, and most of the time, if you are applying to any university or institution abroad, the country that you are applying dictates quite a few rules, because some of the institutes would ask you to qualify for an English speaking exams. Some of them have that common graduate level CAT, or I don't know the other ones, I've forgotten the names of, but there are a list of those exams that many of those universities are looking for as basic level of your application status. But then after that, how do you make your mark? Everybody is giving those exams, but not everybody is getting a chance to do that particular course. So after all those basic examinations, how do you make your mark? See, in my case, the experience I can share with you is I had a very specific case, in the sense I did not start out thinking that I will do my masters here, or I will will apply for this particular course. What happened was, I actually started off in the industry, and then I realized that there was something that I would like to look into. There was always a miscommunication or lack of communication that was happening between the architect's office and all the other consultants that are involved in making that project possible. So in that communication gap, that loophole, the concepts, the designs, the ideas, they dropped and they were compromised. So that led me to really think about all these issues, and I started by searching throughout the world universities that are looking into something like this. One of the courses that attracted my attention was the course that Strathclyde University in Glasgow was offering. It was called Integrated Building Design, where it was a multidisciplinary approach that can be applied from the very basic conceptual stage of an architectural project to make it fruitful without compromising on concepts. So that when I found out that that is the course I want to apply, I sent my portfolio, customized my statement of purpose to them. Then they got back to me. In our cases, things were far more specific. I don't think things like this happen nowadays. In my case, I got a call from my course director and the principal of the department, and they took telephonic interviews, and I was selected. So in all these, the changed systems of application, one thing remains constant is your portfolio.
Yes.
And that is very important.
Yes.
That you're going to send it to these universities who will accept you as a student.
So, sir, is it necessary for us to work in a firm that practices a specific field that we want to do masters in?
Well, if you are looking for a firm that has that kind of a specialization, your fields of specializations will be very less, because see, apart from mainstream core architecture, it's urban design, urban planning, maybe then conservation architecture or landscape architecture. So basically, if you are actually choosing a field to do your masters in, you are limiting yourself. But masters can be done in various interdisciplinary scenarios, and you can bring home your share of knowledge and specialized focused knowledge into mainstream architecture. So I mean, until and unless you're completely sure that yes, you want to go into conservation,
Okay.
then there is no point in you going into a conservation
Yes.
architectural firm. And otherwise, I mean, unless you are completely sure that landscape architecture is your forte,
Yeah.
is the domain that you would like to work in. If you're not very sure, then there is no point in going to a landscape architecture. But if you are, then of course, work in a landscape architect's firm. Understand that what is the specific area of landscape architecture that you want to focus in, then go for your higher education. But most of us at this point, when we're just graduating, at least I was on, we're not very clear that is conservation my calling, or is structures my calling? Nothing. We don't understand that. Most of us don't. So hence that 1 or 2 year of working in the field where you actually get to touch each and every component of this building industry or this architectural industry. Only then you will probably have a much more clearer idea that okay, this is the specialization I am looking for.
Yes. Okay. So, sir, there is a factor of finances too. So, when we are pursuing for post graduation, it is a quite significant amount of investment. So,
Undoubtedly.
yeah. So, my question is it worthwhile to take such a risk in these difficult times?
See, as I said, if you follow the advice of not going for a higher education right at the moment, I think that will solve quite a few of your dilemmas. Because first, you don't really have to worry about taking this huge risk. Number two is you've already invested a lot of money and time for gaining some education.
Yes.
That education might not be your final goal, but that education has given you a platform so that you can acquire some practical experience. So invest this time in gaining that practical experience and gaining some time so that later on, when you are focused and when you have the time, when you are sure about it, when you have an understanding of the fundings also,
Yes.
because maybe working in the field for a couple of years, it might give you a lot of interesting ideas as to how to sponsor your education yourself. So, after that, this will not look like a gamble. It will look like a calculated risk.
Yes.
And calculated risks most of the time pay off.
Yeah. So, sir, in today's time, which field of study is more significant or in demand in the society? I mean, how do we choose which field to specialize in?
Well, if you are asking me what is our society needs,
Yes.
if that is your question, then I would say that our society or our cities need empathetic designers,
Yes.
empathetic architects, and empathetic urban designers. Because yes, we've got a lot of planners and we've got a lot of engineers, but the solutions that they come up are only bits and pieces. Someone with an architectural background who has gone into urban design can integrate all these bits and pieces and weave a beautiful cloth that will become a beautiful city. That becomes the hallmark of the beautiful city. So yes, the society requires people who can integrate, who can think in interdisciplinary platforms and can integrate interdisciplinary information and produce a result. So yes, urban design as much as I understand, urban design is one of the platforms which allows that kind of things to happen. But apart from that, there are so many other aspects that the society requires. For example, sustainability, renewable energy, renewable mentality. See, the way our society is going on, it's what we are missing is not the education, the information, the education, the techniques, the technology, everything is there. But what is missing is the mentality. So the mentality has to change, and that will only change with knowledge. Knowledge gives you power to change. So specialized knowledge will give you specialized power. So any understanding of the sustainable, the issues that will lead to a sustainable environment, built environment, that kind of a specialization is always welcome for the society. At least for today's society, very much in demand.
Okay.
And the third thing I would like to urge youngsters is to come into conservation, because all across the world, in whatever small or big percentage, our traditions, our heritage are being destroyed, either systematically or systematically by humans or unsystematically by nature. So we need to also focus on conserving those beautiful heritages, beautiful structures that bear a testimony of man's architectural explorations and endeavors. So these few fields I think are
Okay.
important for postgraduate studies.
So as you've mentioned, like sustainable architecture and urban design is of high demand these days. So what about the other courses? Like if someone wants to pursue masters in geomatics, like I've heard geomatics is taught in universities like CEPT, or maybe biodigital architecture, which is taught in Barcelona, one of the universities. Then what about these type of courses?
Just the other question that she had asked, we were discussing what the society needs. These are probably some of the courses that the society wants. So there are two differences, if I might say. What is it that the way I see it, what is it that the client wants and the client needs? So the client is always going to tell you what it needs, what it wants, and you also have to find out that apart from the wants, what is it that they need, and provide that. So sustainable architecture, urban design, these probably is what the society needs, but the society is crying out for something jazzy. That is biodigital architecture. See, biodigital architecture or geomatics deals with integrating the virtual platform, and using the virtual platform to integrate all the various aspects of building industry. That is, all the various electrical, the structural input, electrical input, mechanical input, in the architectural input, the detailings required, the AC, the HVAC systems. So all these systems get integrated on a virtual platform, and the entire building is made ready on a virtual platform and tested for all kinds of scenarios that in real life we cannot do that until and unless we actually build it on site. So geomatics basically deals with the computational technology and teaches the architects this tool so that they can use it to experience a building even before building it. So yes, that since the technology is here, man will be always using this technology. Man will always be interested in using this technology. So if you are inclined towards that, geomatics is obviously your field, and as you said, CEPT, right? CEPT is teaching it. So CEPT is a good institution. And you spoke about biodigital architecture. and I'm sure most of us know biodigital architecture or the biomorphic architecture. The birthplace of it is in Europe. Ms. Hadid has shown us a path-breaking direction where architecture can take, and all that happened in Europe. So Barcelona is probably the best place to study a course like that. Yes. So again, as you also have done your homework and you've brought out these courses, you see that it is the course that is leading you to a particular university, not the other way around. Not that you search out which universities to go and then you look into the course. It is either if you are really interested in urban designing, then your path goes in a different direction. But if you are actually inclined towards going into Zaha Hadid's direction, then maybe Barcelona would be the final place that you would like to land up. So yes, prospects are great.
So, sir, does having a postgraduate degree from abroad make it easier to land jobs there? Or is it the same situation if we do our masters from in our country?
Well, landing a job has got nothing to do with your education, to be very frank. Because landing a job abroad has to do with the government laws in that country regarding your work permit, your staying permit, your visas, and all that kind of scenarios. Now, since most architectural students are not, they don't get employed by a corporate firm. If you are going into a corporate firm, then probably the firm will take care of your visa responsibilities or work permit responsibilities. But otherwise, most architectural firms are not corporate, and hence they will not go through the pains of securing your visa and going through that hassle. So your chance of getting a job, if you have done your masters abroad, your chance of getting a job depends upon which country you are applying. If you have a degree from Europe or America and you apply for a job in the Middle East, immediately you get it. But if you would like to join a very traditional, beautiful architectural firm in Europe, then you might not. That's the thing. See, in Dubai, people would employ architects like in the corporate world. But in a firm that I was talking about, they don't have the corporate structure, so they will not hire you. They'll hire someone whom they don't have to go through that legal hassle and still get a good quality work done. So, and now when you're talking about a degree from this country, see, the way I see it is, if you are good enough in your job and if your specialization has that merit in it, then you can land up a job any place. And if you're good at it, people will pay you.
So my last question today is that you're in teaching profession. So there are people who doesn't want to do a corporate job, or maybe he or she doesn't even want to start his or her own firm and just want to teach. So how to go about that?
See, in teaching profession, in our field,
Yes.
the teaching profession in our field is a little different from teaching in the rest of the technical fields, or I'm not talking about medicine. In fact, actually our field is very much like medicine. You see, the best professors, the best teachers in the medical field are the ones that are actually good on this operating table as well. You will hear that the best teachers in architectural field also are the ones who are like you talk about Doshi, or you talk about Ms. van der Rohe, or Frank Lloyd Wright. They were great practitioners, hence they were great teachers. So in our profession, there are two kinds of teachers. One who bring into the table their practical experience and they teach from their practice. So it's literally they teach what they practice.
Yes.
And there are the others that bring into the table the academic strength, the research strength that the entire academic body has brought in. So either you can be either or that. So if you are really not looking into the practical experience, my advice would be that not to jump into teaching right away.
Okay.
Then rather than jumping into teaching only, not to jump into teaching only. If you join teaching, yes, join. But along with that, please continue your higher studies. Because only then, if you are not practicing, only then will you be able to bring something new to the table and become a successful teacher. Because, see, you need to have a higher perspective or a much broader perspective than the people that you are teaching. And that perspective can happen either if you have gained that experience through working or gain that experience through knowledge gathering. That is through academics. So if you are going into purely academics, my suggestion would be to keep on doing your researches. But then again, it all starts from the very basic point. If you start your academics right away, that is your higher education right away, again you will stumble on that first step, that what is the direction you will choose.
Yes.
So coming back to it, I think it is always better that you study, work for some time, even if you want to go into academics.
Okay.
So that will actually bring a balance into your teaching. Where you have the experience of the field, even if it is less, but you at least know how things work in the field. And along with that, you bring in the academic or the research potential that you have developed, and you bring that into the classroom, and you open the minds of young students into the research field, into the research umbrella, research platform. That's a good way.
Okay. So before ending our session, I would just like to know that since architecture is a diverse industry, so after completing the bachelor's degree, what are the other career options, like other than architecture, one can opt for?
Interesting question. See, to be very frank, you can take any profession you want. And architectural degree or the studies that you have done to this 5 years is always going to help you. I can guarantee you that. Any creative field, I'm sure someone who studied architecture is not going to go into a non-creative field. So any creative field that you get into, architectural education provides that kind of a perspective so that you will shine in whatever field you go. So if the thing is, you have to find what you want to do. You have to find what you love to do. If you do what you love to do, you will do it well. And if you do it well, you will shine. And to answer your question, I'll give you 2 examples. I've got 2 friends. Both of them, not from the same place, but both of them studied architecture as graduation degree. Then one went into toy designing, and I don't remember the name of the company, but he works for a company, and he's a toy design engineer or something like that, and he actually designs those transformer toys that come out on the sand, and it requires huge amount of engineering, how to hold that small little toy and still the transformation takes place. So it's incredible engineering, incredible design, and he loved it. He loves toys, he loved toys all the time, and he's always told me that architectural education did not go waste. I have another friend of mine who studied architecture and then studied set designing. She is a set designer now in Mumbai, and one of my students itself, one of your seniors. She is, I think, right now has started her post-graduation in set design or something of that sort, production design or something. So yes, avenues are always open. You just have to be creative and you just have to find what you love to do.
Thank you so much. So that is it for today.
Thank you.
That was indeed an insightful session. I hope we were able to address most of the concerns the students have. But of course, questions are never restricted. So if you have anything else in your mind, please drop a comment in the section below. Thank you so much, Anushka, for your time, and we wish you good luck for your future endeavor.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.